And finally, new rule, stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry.
Bill Maher just did something Whoopi Goldberg never saw coming. He looked straight into the camera and tore apart her argument piece by piece in front of his entire audience. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this clash has put not only Whoopi, but The View's entire camp under serious pressure. What happened next turned brutal fast.
Well, stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. No. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Let's be clear, that wasn't just a joke. Bill Maher sounded like a man who had been waiting a long time for this moment. Whoopi Goldberg went after Maher on The View, and days later, she was off the show. Maher's response. He laughed and compared the whole situation to a big game hunter getting trampled by an elephant, and then finished off by lions. That's what made the moment so brutal. No hesitation. No softening the punchline. Maher delivered it straight-faced and moved on.
Now, I mentioned this karma stuff on the show last week because I was relating how many texts and emails I got from people congratulating me on receiving a karmagram from the universe in the form of Whoopi Goldberg's chastisement. So I thought this would be a good time for a little tutorial on karma, which, as Americans understand it, is nothing more than an extension of the common logical fallacy called post hoc ergo propter hoc, which means after that, because of that. It's the fallacy that happens when someone assumes that if one thing follows another, then the first thing must have caused the second thing. Like, I wore green socks every day last year and I never got into a car accident. Green socks must prevent car accidents.
What Bill just did was bigger than a cheap karma joke. He dismissed the whole idea as a logical fallacy. In his view, Whoopi's situation wasn't cosmic justice. It was simply life taking an unexpected turn. But there's one thing he couldn't hide. Bill was clearly enjoying the moment. And that reaction didn't come out of nowhere. This feud goes much deeper than one rough week for The View. The real tension started long before this, and Iran was at the center of it.
Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie folks to the car.
I'm sorry, but where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step wearing this outfit.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
Listen closely. Whoopi Goldberg went on national television and drew a comparison between America and Iran, a country widely criticized for severe restrictions on women, public executions, and harsh punishment of dissent. Then she pushed back on the idea that the two shouldn't even be compared. That's where the argument exploded, because this wasn't just another political disagreement. To critics like Bill Maher, it crossed a much deeper line, treating two radically different systems as morally equivalent. And that was only the beginning.
But I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels that way. Listen, I'm sorry. You know, when you think about the fact that we got the vote in 1965.
Okay, they don't have free and fair elections in Iran. It's not even the same universe.
They can't go out of their house. Women.
You know what? There's no way I can make you understand.
Did you hear that? Women in Iran face severe restrictions, yet Whoopi still argued that America is darker. Critics saw it as an extreme comparison that ignored the repression, executions, and restrictions imposed by the Iranian regime. For many viewers, that went far beyond ordinary political commentary. And for Bill Maher, it was the moment he'd heard enough.
What do you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity. And a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View.
Bill Maher is a lifelong liberal, yet even he says Democrats need to confront what's happening on The View. For Maher, this is no longer just left versus right. It's about whether political commentary has crossed into something impossible to defend. And in his view, Whoopi crossed that line. But Maher still had one more shot to fire.
I really believe that. I mean,
could you just it's huge in Iran, though.
Bill, you know, when I
mentioned The View in Iran, all with the same head cover. You can't even tell which one is which.
Maher went even further, comparing The View to Iranian state television. The message was clear. In his eyes, the show had completely lost perspective. And remember, this isn't coming from a conservative pundit. Maher has spent decades criticizing both sides from HBO down. So when he turns this sharply on people from his own political camp, it gets attention. For him, The View's credibility problem has become impossible to ignore. And Stephen A. Smith wasn't far behind.
2.
You had too many people going after him for stuff that wasn't going to stick. It wasn't going to influence his voters. So what I would say to you, Whoopi, and what I would say to anybody that doesn't want J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody like that to succeed him, focus on what's going to win.
Stephen A. Smith told Whoopi Goldberg exactly what he thought went wrong. The anti-Trump strategy failed. Democrats focused on arguments that didn't connect with enough voters, lost the election, and then kept repeating the same message. That's the same criticism Bill Maher has been making for months. If the strategy keeps losing, eventually you have to change it.
But I find that oftentimes when I'm watching the news, I'm only getting portions, because one of the things that happens, I was listening to you talk about, the kids that had the Hamas flags. It reminded me of when people were saying Antifa is there, and doing that. So bad players show up and make stuff happen. But do you find that the view that we're being shown seems to be meant to guide us into thinking about people one way, when in fact it may be a much bigger conversation?
Oh, of course. I mean, the media is always going to just chase what is interesting to watch. I mean, I used to be able to watch the nightly news, for example.
Now Whoopi is blaming the media, saying the public is only seeing part of the story. But critics see an obvious contradiction. She hosts The View, a show often accused of favoring one political perspective. So when she says the media is the problem, it sounds less like criticism and more like a failure to explain why the message isn't connecting.
Do it. I mean, first of all, it should be called, here's some video we found that's fun to watch. That's not the news.
Yeah.
Like anything that happens on a plane. Like the plane skidded off the runway, so what? Call me when anybody died, and it's not, the door fell off. Okay, I'm sorry.
I understand the door falling off, but you don't want to be up in the air.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. That one I needed to know.
Okay.
But the real story goes back even further. This feud didn't begin with Iran. It began during COVID, and that's where the tension between Bill Maher and Whoopi Goldberg really started.
Here in America, and the entire nations of England, Denmark, Sweden, and Finland flippant because they're saying the same thing now. COVID is so much more complicated than just, I'm for more safety than you are, therefore I'm a better person. But Whoopi is misinformed on many aspects of the COVID debate. After she got it recently, she said that being vaccinated, quote, doesn't stop Omicron, and that's the problem with the variant because it gets stronger. Actually, it usually gets weaker, as is the case with this one. But that's okay. She's allowed to be wrong. Fuck, it's 11 a.m.
This feud really heated up during COVID. Whoopi criticized Bill Maher for arguing that it was time to move past masks and return to normal life. Maher pushed back, pointing out that many states and countries were already easing restrictions. Then came disagreements over vaccines, Omicron, and how variants behave, claims Maher believed were being presented too confidently on The View. His response was simple and cutting. She's allowed to be wrong. It's 11:00 a.m. That one line quickly became one of the most memorable moments of their feud.
Because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. but there is no fucking thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. They just happen to coincide. But can I just say
And now the feud has come full circle. Whoopi is off The View, Maher is back on HBO, and the internet is calling it karma. Maher doesn't see it that way. To him, this is just part of a long-running passion between them. But then the story took a turn almost nobody saw coming.
I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
There is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
Maher's bigger point was about the media itself. In his view, The View has become a place where one political perspective dominates, and anyone who challenges it, even another liberal, risks being treated like the enemy. So after years of clashes over COVID, Iran, and politics, does Maher actually want revenge on Whoopi? His answer is more surprising than you might expect.
They just happen to coincide. But can I just say this? I had on last week Ira Glasser, former longtime head of the ACLU, talking about free speech. Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Free speech. She should be there. She shouldn't get a timeout.
Not every single thing has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do a cancellation.
It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Fact.
Here's what makes Maher's response stand out. After years of attacks and disagreements, he still defended Whoopi's right to speak. He believes she's wrong on COVID, Iran, Trump, and much more, but he doesn't believe she should be silenced. For Maher, free speech matters more than personal grudges. That's what makes this clash different. He didn't call for Whoopi to be cancelled. He challenged her arguments and let the audience decide. So the real question is this: was Maher right to defend Whoopi despite everything they disagreed on? And has The View lost touch with its own audience?